at the end of a very long year.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. Welcome on board our vessel to Mars. Boarding is completed, as all systems are set, and we're sure that we don't take the coronavirus to outer space. Thanks for your cooperation, by the way. We are ready to launch. First rule, don't panic.
Cabin crew, prepare for takeoff.
At the end of a very long year.
20 seconds till liftoff.
T-minus 15 seconds. Falcon 9 is configured for flight. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition.
14 of 17 SDGs are addressed through immunization. And when we talk about universal health coverage, we talk about primary health care, we talk about health security. Without immunization, there's none of that. We know that there's a strong economic return on investments.
Jewelry shop assistant Margaret Keenan made history, getting the first dose of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. She turns 91 next week and said that this is the best early birthday present she could wish for.
How do you answer an argument made by the American Academy of Pediatricians who say that if the family wins, vaccine makers are going to be chased from the market, children are going to die?
So, as I looked into it, I found out that indeed every drug company in the United States was controlled by the Rockefellers.
But you don't have a choice. People act like you have a choice.
I'm not going to talk about mandatory policy. And where I stand on that point, it may well come up later, kind of hoping it does in the questions, because then I'll share with you my rather one-sided opinion on that.
Rights. Boy, everyone in this country is always running around yammering about their fucking rights. I have a right, you have no right, we have a right, they don't have a right. Folks, I hate to spoil your fun, but there's no such thing as rights, okay? They're imaginary. We made them up, like the Boogeyman, the Three Little Pigs, Pinocchio, Mother Goose, shit like that. Rights are an idea. They're just imaginary. They're a cute idea, cute, but that's all, cute and fictional. Where do they come from? People say, well, they come from God. They're God-given rights. Oh, fuck, here we go again. The God excuse. The last refuge of a man with no answers and no argument. It came from God. Anything we can't describe must have come from God. Personally, folks, I believe that if your rights came from God, He would have given you the right to some food every day, and He would have given you the right to a roof over your head. God would have been looking out for you. If you think you do have rights, one last assignment for you. Next time you're at the computer, get on the internet, go to Wikipedia. When you get to Wikipedia, in the search field for Wikipedia, I want you to type in Japanese Americans 1942, and you'll find out all about your precious fucking rights, okay? All right. You know about it. You know about it. Just when these American citizens needed their rights the most, their government took them away. And rights aren't rights if someone can take them away. They're privileges. That's all we've ever had in this country is a bill of temporary privileges. And if you read the news even badly, you know that every year the list gets shorter and shorter and shorter. Sooner or later, the people in this country are going to realize the government does not give a fuck about them. Government doesn't care about you or your children or your rights or your welfare or your safety. It simply doesn't give a fuck about you. It's interested in its own power. That's the only thing, keeping it and expanding it wherever possible. Personally, when it comes to rights, I think one of two things is true. I think either we have unlimited rights or we have no rights at all.
That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. And we will leave you with I can't do it. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. And thing sucks. That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks again for watching. We'll leave you with Sting and a cut off his new album. Take it away.
Okay, give me a second here. I do apologize. I was kind of running around at the last minute. And I wanted to stick to trying to be as close to 10 o'clock as possible because that's how people know that you're reliable. And how's my sound now? Can I hear my sound now? Let's just go back to this fun little thing I threw together this morning. Yeah.
At the end of a very long year.
Okay, that took me some time. It took me about 45 minutes to get that together and rendered. It was fun. Okay. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello to everyone and anyone. Thank you for giving me your time. I do appreciate it. And I just wanted to go over a couple things today. Like I said, this is Blindspot Corner episode 2. Hopefully everything's going better. Hopefully my sound's a little bit better today. And I'm still an amateur, so we're doing some fun stuff today, and I just wanted to go over some clips that have come out in the last couple of days. And this isn't going to be pretty, the way that I'm doing it. But hey, like I always say, neither am I. So let me just do something here. And we want to square that up so that it's just right. Oh shoot. No, I've done it. Okay. Hey, I'm an amateur. I have no problem admitting that. So
it happens to everyone. Waiting in line for your morning coffee, you scroll social media and news on your phone. What you find depresses you.
Give me 1 second here. This is gonna be fun. You're gonna like this. Why do people think what they do? Well, you can convince people of a lot of things if you have their ear all the time. So here's who has the ear of the most connected, most influential, and most reasonable people on the planet. At least I think. I like to think that people that are doing what they're doing are reasonable. But it does seem that this year I'm being proven quite wrong. Okay, so this is from... this is an introduction to the Sustainable Development Goals.
Thousands of migrants are fleeing a civil war, risking their lives only to be turned back at borders. Speculations have sent the housing markets into a frenzy, and employment numbers are tumbling down. Journalists have uncovered a decades-long cover-up of child abuse by coaches and doctors within competitive gymnastics in your country. Closing the news app, you open your family group chat. Maybe one of your siblings has posted something funny, and at this rate, you could use some cheering up. The group chat has blown up overnight, and what you see makes your heart sink. Bushfires are raging again, and there's one burning only 2 suburbs over from where your cousins live. Everyone is frantic with worry. At this point, you walk away, coffee in hand, tense, miserable, and confused.
Yeah, everyone is worried, tense, miserable, and confused. But it's because the world's so confusing, and there's so many scary things happening, And you should be really scared and confused and worried. And just let us tell you how it's all going to be from now on.
You think, this can't go on. Something needs to be done. Someone needs to step up. We need a plan to fix all this social injustice, economic chaos, and environmental destruction. This is where the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, come in. Fixing the kinds of problems that bring your entire day down in the morning coffee line can't happen in just one way.
So just to be clear, they're selling you comfort. First, they are pumping you full of fear, and they're selling you the placebo comfort, which is what they always wanted to sell you in the first place.
The SDGs cover sustainability from different angles: socially, economically, and environmentally. They set global goals for the 3 Ps: people, planet, and prosperity. The SDGs form the heart of the 2030 Agenda, an action plan adopted by all 193 countries of the United Nations. They call for decent jobs, quality education, good health, gender and income equality, clean energy and water, biodiversity, and climate action.
Okay, let's just go down that list there. Decent jobs. What's a decent job? Who gets to tell you what a decent job is? Do you get to decide yourself? Are you getting to decide anything yourself these days? What is a decent job, according to these people? Well, surely it's tied into the other different points in the agenda. Quality education. What does that mean? Well, we know that they're trying to tell people what to think and how to think, and that big tech and big pharma and big government are all coming together to tell you what's true. Every single day you're told that don't fall. Hey, there's a beam of light on my face. Great. Oh well, deal with it. Every single day we're told that we don't really know how to differentiate between what is true and what is not true, and we're told that we need all these fact checkers for everything that happens in reality. But what is it really? Really, it's gatekeeping. It's gatekeeping. It's a way to keep you from thinking impure thoughts. That's why this is dogmatic, right? So everything that comes from the power structure, everything that comes from these people that get together and they think they know everything, they're ideologues, and they're going to tell you what's true and what is not. But it's also based on knowing some things that they claim to have dominion or authority over, which is they know what a decent job is. They know what quality education is. They know what good health is, which comes at the end of a needle. They know what gender and income inequality can do to you if they don't have that kind of parity amongst all the people in society. And there's been plenty of talk like that. Joseph Stiglitz, former World Bank economist, I think World Bank, he wrote a book all about it, The Dangers of Inequality. And it was all about if some people have some money and some people don't have some money, well, then they have clashes and it leads to all this unrest. And so again, what are we doing right now? We're clamping down all society so that we can alleviate those potential clashes. I mean, that's what the Fourth Industrial Revolution is all about. If you listen to Charles Schwab, he will tell you the Fourth Industrial Revolution is to prepare for the inevitable future where people are going to be outmoded by technology. Technological unemployment is going to put so many people in the public dole that he doesn't say this in the book, but let's just tell you what it really means, right? So in this world, in this society, people had been contributing back in the form of taxes. And so people call it like tax farming. Governments do tax farming on their citizens. They basically take your money and, well, you have to actually make money for them to tax you to take money. So if nobody's going to have any jobs, where are they going to get the tax money from? So, I mean, we're having a preview of that now, aren't we? It seems like the government can spend money on whatever it wants. It's got a money tree. Money just grows on trees, and so they can throw money at taking everybody and sending them home. Here in Canada with CERB, y'all just stay home. We need to take care of this pandemic that's just so dangerous. It's unlike any pandemic ever before. It isn't. And we'll just throw as much money at it as we need to. And then while we're doing that, hey, look, we're going to also throw money at all these SDGs that we need to take care of. This is what Justin Trudeau meant when he said we're going to be able to further develop our commitment to the SDGs, the Agenda 2030 SDGs. We're going to do our part as Canadians and as a country in Canada to contribute to the SDGs. So what does that mean? That means top-down control economy, that they basically are going to tell you what is important, how your money is spent. This is your quality education. This is your decent job. Your decent job is going to be to work for the government in some way, shape, or form. or the large corporations that are going to be in cooperation, cohesively working together to bring stability for everything. But really, what is this? This is just a way to protect the system, to protect the superstructure of the very rich at the top that have investments, and they don't like all that kind of, they don't like, what's the word that I'm looking for? They don't like uncertainty. They don't like uncertainty in their system. They need to know that everything is going to continue to contribute back to the greater, again, cohesion of society. And they talk about it over and over and over again. I'm not going to go into that today, but we do clean energy and water. Obviously, everybody wants that. Obviously, everybody wants that. I mean, that's a no-brainer. We don't need government to tell us that we want clean energy and water, but they're going to tell us that, hey, we're giving this to you, and the only way we can do it is by clamping down on you and telling you what you can have and what you can't. Are they right? I mean, they're not wrong. They're not wrong. It's easier to plan things if you have definitive kind of inputs into the way that you're trying to judge society. And that's what, unfortunately, big government always wants. It always wants more and more power because it believes that if it has power, it can construct your life for you in a way that's going to be amenable to comfort. Okay, so they're selling you comfort. And biodiversity, of course we want that. Climate action, of course we all want that. But I think a lot of people really conflate the idea of climate change and pollution. Now that's another topic for another day, but that's just some stuff that I wanted to go over. We'll give this another second to play out here.
They aim to reach sustainable development by 2030. Governments play a key role in achieving these goals, but they're not the only players. Businesses, civil society, Indigenous leaders, academia, and the general public all contribute as well.
Okay, can I just go back to that for 1 second?
And the general public.
Okay, businesses, civil society, that means people that are cooperating with the goals of the government, which is essentially a neo-communism. Communism is power from the top down that basically makes all the important decisions. It's not that dissimilar to plutocracy, which is funny because, you know, I've always tried to make the connection that I honestly believe it seems like, anyways, there was funding that went into Russia and the USSR that funded Lenin and consequently Stalin. There seemed to have been some kind of support by large banks from the States to help to achieve that goal. The same thing, you know, there's ties that go into China with Mao, who was educated, I believe, in the West. But these ideas came out of the West, and then they proliferated in the USSR first, and then in China, and then in a bunch of different countries. They were pushing this kind of stuff. A lot of the time pushed by the UN, by the way. They help communist regimes take over from formerly what they would call capitalistic or basically free democracies, people that were trying to give power. See, there's a difference between being in power with business and then giving power to business to conduct business. And that's huge, that difference. It's the difference between capitalism and crony capitalism. But again, that's not the kind of stuff that I wanted to go into today because I want to have that all prepared so I can actually explain myself. So considering I'm going to be doing this every couple days, I should have plenty of time. I unfortunately was not that prepped for this morning. I do have a bunch of stuff and a bunch of clips that I want to go over, but I want to also keep this kind of tight. I'm already almost a half an hour. See, I'm just such a blowhard. Businesses, civil society, Indigenous leaders. Now, look, I'm all for reconciliation, but reconciliation with just kind of accepting that some bad things happened, okay? Some bad things happen, and unfortunately all those bad things get blamed on capitalism. And so what's the solution? Crony capitalism, aka neo-communism, aka top-down control, in concert with capitalism. It's obviously a mechanism to keep people from being able to connect, right? They say nice things to various groups, and then they keep them in the loop. And it all sounds wonderful, and they're all just lovey-dovey, but at the end of the day, what does it serve to do? It serves to separate the population from each other. So there's people like myself who are 7th generation, excuse me, I'm 6th generation, my boys are 7th generation Canadian. And obviously there are the indigenous people that were here for 12,000 years, which actually isn't really that long. Side issue. The point is that they were here, we came, they built a society free from the former plutocracy that existed in Britain. They broke free of that and they built their own rules and conditions with which to build a society, and was actually very successful, so successful that it gave back to other societies and brought prosperity and technology and advancement for all of humankind, and now we're being condemned for that, for being so free. That's what liberalism brings, unfortunately. But I'm still for it. I'm still for the conversation. As long as we can still have conversations, and I think that conversations should be had, but when conversations are just used to shut people up like they are when it comes to indigenous kind of inclusion into this cooperative thing that they're building, especially with leftist governments, they acknowledge this stuff because they want to sound nice, but really, are they doing anything other than sounding nice? I mean, it's still business that's making the decisions, but it allows businesses, instead of developing an actual cohesive environment inside of their business by hiring the people that they want to hire and hiring the most talented, regardless of race or color or creed, now it's mandated. Now you have to have these rules that you have to follow. This is always about a bureaucratic lockstep into the future, okay? Bureaucracy always wants to grow itself. And is it good for society? It's obviously good for society for people to experience other cultures and people and history and to learn more. It's always better to learn more. It's not good to belittle one group over another or attack one group over another to make another group feel good. That's making your tent smaller. You want to make the tent big. You want to make a big tent and invite everybody in to have a place at the table if they live up to the standard that is set at whatever event or gathering or business place that whatever standard is set there. That's the people that you want in are going to live up to that standard. It has nothing to do with what they look like or what their religion is or what the background is, or that stuff's all just to control you. And you can see that it is because it's being used today to not bring people together. It's being used to tear people apart. And if you don't see it, I don't know what to tell you. It's 100% true. And so it's just a means of control. Sounds nice on paper, but in practicality, it's just a means of control. Okay. So I want to go into just a couple things. Get a couple clips out before I burn out and realize that I'm talking too long. Okay, let's do this. I saw this fantastic clip from a fellow named Kerry Mullis. You might have heard of him. He's the inventor of the PCR test. And this clip was making the rounds yesterday on social media.
What is it? What is it about humanity that wants to go to all the details and stuff and listen? You know, these guys like Fauci get up there and start talking. You know, he doesn't know anything really about anything, and I'd say that to his face. Nothing. The man thinks you can take a blood sample and stick it in an electron microscope, and if it's got a virus in there, you'll know it. He doesn't understand electron microscopy, and he doesn't understand medicine, and he should not be in a position like he's in.
Those seem like harsh words. If anybody's got a link to this full interview, I would appreciate it. This is the only thing that I've seen going around so far. I'm not sure where it's from or when it's from, but this fellow died, I believe, last year. Excuse me, mid last year. This is the guy whose PCR test is being abused to control the population, and there seems to be some evidence that it has to do with the amount of cycles that you put your samples through, that you can find what you're looking for if you just up the cycles. And that just means that traces of things. So when you have a coronavirus that is like this one that tends to spread rapidly and get into people's bodies, but not necessarily manifest. So SARS-CoV-2 is the virus that's going around, and COVID-19 is the actual presentation of the virus, or the sickness that's caused by the virus. And it only happens to the very elderly or the very immunocompromised, and there seems to be very little even of those, a small percentage of those. So really it's just a seasonal virus, but it gets around like crazy. So the problem, in my opinion, as it has been since the beginning, is the reaction of public health, and that it was over the top, and that it just seems to coincide with a bunch of different goals like Agenda 2030, which we're in the connectivity phase. And I have to find that clip. There's a clip from the World Government Summit that I put up a long time ago. The World Government Summit is basically like the... it's the arm of the UN and the WEF that isn't just reaching out to business leaders, it's reaching out to business leaders and governmental leaders and think tanks. It's just another branch. It's just another way to get their ideas out there and have them proliferate. But this PCR test seems to be used in a way that they can manipulate it. Now, am I saying that people are actively manipulating it purposely? No, it wouldn't take that many people. It would take one or two people at the top to just kind of say, hey, we're going to recommend this new protocol for your cycle amount. And there's some indication that anything over 30 cycles can show almost anything you want it to show, which is what he's talking about. Kerry Mullis is talking about that under electron microscope. I can't even say it. Microscopy. Take that one. Clip that and make me look like an idiot. That'll work well. Anyway, he's talking about the fact that that's not the way that you should be looking for things. And it's certainly not how to identify disease in people. It's a way to find fragments of things that don't show you a presentation of COVID-19. They can show you clips of SARS-2, which was meant to get around as fast as it did, which appears to have gotten everywhere. And what we're just having now is another flu season. But they're calling everything SARS-2. They're calling everything COVID-19.
Most of those guys up there on the top are just total administrative people, and they don't know anything about what's going on the bottom.
That's very important, because it seems to be true that the people that end up at the top that make all the big decisions are much more interested in keeping their company on top of things than actually keeping people healthy. And that is the way that pharma seems to have taken over healthcare. It does so by having people that might have come from a medical background, but they're not the best at actually explaining things, but they are the best at politicking. And when it comes to how we rule the world with politics, don't we? So what you need to get really good at if you want to be in that field is politics, and they do get good at that. And so the people that can sell your product to the most amount of people with the least amount of slack, that's who ends up at the top, like Anthony Fauci.
You know, those guys have got an agenda, which is not what we would like them to have, being that we pay for them to take care of our health in some way. They've got a personal kind of agenda. They make up their own rules as they go. They change them when they want to, and they smugly, like Tony Fauci, does not mind going on television in front of the people that pay his salary and lie directly into the camera. You can't expect the sheep to really respect the best and the brightest. They don't know the difference, really. I mean, I like humans. Don't get me wrong, but basically, the vast majority of them do not possess the ability to judge.
I just want to comment on one thing you just said. The vast majority of them, the vast majority of humans, the vast majority of them. That's a funny thing to say, and I'm gonna follow it up with a fun clip. We're gonna make the rest of this show fun, because I saw some stuff yesterday that just blew my frickin' mind. And I wanted to share it with all of you, whoever you are, wherever you are. I don't judge, I don't care. All I'm asking for is a conversation, like I've said over and over again. But let's just go back to what he's saying. The humans.
Who is and who isn't a really good scientist? I mean, that's a problem. That's a main problem, actually, with science, I'd say, in this century, because science is being judged by people. Funding is being done by people who don't understand it. Okay, who do we trust? Fauci? Fauci doesn't know enough to, if Fauci wants to get on television with somebody who knows a little bit about this stuff and debate them, he could easily do it because he's been asked. I mean, I've had a lot of people, president of the University of South Carolina asked Fauci if he'd come down there and debate me on the stage in front of the student body, because I wanted somebody who was from the other side to come down there and balance my, because I felt like, well, these guys can listen to me, but I need to have somebody else down here that's going to tell me the other side.
But it was... So that's an interesting clip. What is he saying there? He's saying that Fauci is good at politicking. And he's good at selling what the companies want and Big Pharma wants. And Big Pharma is one of the biggest players, well, is the biggest player in Washington at least. And they tend to get what they want. And what they want is profits and control over whether or not you are forced, compelled, shall we say, not mandated, compelled to take the vaccination. Okay, so let's do some fun stuff because, like I said, I'm already 40 minutes in. I'm going to try to keep this short because I've been talking to people, my wife included, that say that I should try to shorten it up because people only have short attention spans. I like to give people more respect than that. I like to think that if they're compelled and there's something interesting going on, they might be inclined to actually sit back and listen. But I do fully understand that people have time shortness happening in their lives. They have they're trying to manage their time in such a way that they feel like they're making the most out of their day. And I don't blame people for doing that. I try to do that. We all try to do that in our own lives. And I guess we only have so much time for so much, even though these days it seems to be a little more self-interested in things that actually matter. At least to me, which is why I'm doing this podcast in the first place. And what really matters? Well, what really matters is the people that are trying to take over your life and tell you how it's going to be from now on. That seems to matter more than anything else. So, look, am I obsessed with it myself? Sure, I suppose I am. Well, I mean, I'm doing this and nothing else at this point. I am literally just consuming this stuff. And on that note, if you are enjoying the video and you can give me a thumbs up, I'd certainly appreciate it. Anything, share the video if you find it interesting or entertaining or compelling. And I would certainly appreciate any effort that you could make towards helping me achieve my goals of maybe being able to just get some conversations going and potentially make a living out of this. I'll ask for donations eventually because I'm going to be honest, I'm bleeding out. We're bleeding out here, but the government's telling us the future is going to be completely different anyway. So how do you make plans when the future is so indefinite? I don't know. So let's do this. I don't know if you all are familiar with James Corbett. Wow, that seems really loud.
Welcome back to New World Next Week. I'm James Corbett of CorbettReport.com.
And I'm James Evan Pilato from MediaMonarchy.com.
I'm not.
We've got that story plus mass exodus. But first, as we're here in the States allegedly about to have a changing...
I have not figured this stuff out 100% yet as far as my volumes go, so I'm going to have to fidget with that. All these little things that I have to learn. It's such a big learning curve for me. But it's fun. And so I do appreciate doing something that's fun, and as far as I can tell, this is a skill that will translate no matter what happens in the future. I think communicating and just talking to people is going to be a big part of that, and so do the people that are sort of pushing this forward. And I just want to be able to be part of that conversation, and I hope that I can make some contribution. I wanted to go ahead and go to a specific part of this video, though. Shoot. Because the story, I think it's at 12 minutes. Let's just go to 12 minutes and see what happens. I'll try to get the stuff a little better together for next time.
Next week episode.
They did just refer to Carrie Mullins was just talking about the fact that humans. Okay, so let's play on that for a little bit. What do we know about humans and what do we know about aliens? And this is a fun story.
We go to the Jerusalem Post. Former Israeli space security chief says aliens exist. Humanity not ready. Has the state, again, this is coming from the Jerusalem Post, has the state of Israel made contact with aliens? According to retired Israeli general and current professor Haim Ashed, the answer is yes, but it's been kept a secret because humanity isn't ready. Eshed served as the head of Israel's space program for 30 years and is a 3-time recipient of the Israel Security Award. He said Israel and the U.S., they've been dealing with aliens for years, and this by no means refers to immigrants, yuckity yuck.
Is Carrie Mullins an alien? I don't know. Ah, shoot. Now look what I've done. Got a bit of the crazy eyes going there, Pilato.
Eshed clarifying the existence of a galactic federation, which may actually be the real takeaway from this story. We've all heard all the, declarations of aliens, but the Galactic Federation. This cooperation includes a secret underground base on Mars where there are American and alien representatives. If true, the article notes, this would coincide, of course, with Trump's creation of the Space Force as the 5th branch of the U.S. Armed Forces, though it's unclear how long this sort of relationship, if any, has been going on between the U.S. and its reported ET.
Okay, so that's fun. Let's do some more fun stuff. Let's do some fun stuff that that I did see yesterday that amused me a little bit, and hopefully it will amuse you too. So have you ever heard that rumor going around that at the 2012 London Olympic Games there was the video that was predictive programming? How do you expect people not to look at this and go, that's really weird? So this is at the 2012 London Olympic Games opener. And what do we see here? A bunch of nurses and doctors and people in hospital garb. That seems exceptionally loud. I suppose it's not. I'm just hoping you can hear me. So look at this fun dance. Hey, does that look familiar? All those doctors dancing? Is this TikTok? What am I watching here? So there, shoot. Now I did it. Look at that. So here's some pictures and all the hospital beds and the nurses. What? Why was this a thing? If this is not something that people should look at, what was the motivation for this stuff? I'm always fascinated by Hollywood and the productions that they make that are always kind of like Illuminati, and there's pyramids, and we're gonna get into that in just a minute. But I wonder, those people there that produce those things, well, they're artistic, right? And there's always, in pop culture, there's always references to Illuminati. I was watching Gargoyles with my boys, and there's a few episodes in there that talk about the Illuminati, and that's always fun. And hip-hop goes into it, and people talk about it. So I wonder if the people that make these videos for Hollywood and the big budget productions, maybe they just do it because it's trendy. I don't know. Maybe they go to parties with weird people, like Maria Abramovich in the spirit cooking, like the Podesta brothers and various Hollywood, Lady Gaga, blah, blah, blah. They do that stuff. It's weird. It's weird to do that stuff. But, when you're very rich and you can kind of do whatever you want, I suppose being weird, it just kind of comes with the package. So, here we go. There's all these weird pictures and doctors getting together and dancing their way through this pandemic. What? And then there's appears to be a giant Grim Reaper in the middle of the stage. Can somebody explain me what the purpose of this particular artistic endeavor was? What is that, Voldemort? Maybe it's Voldemort. Is it Voldemort? I don't understand. The one whose name cannot be spoken? This is so creepy. Can we admit that this is freaking creepy? What is this all about? But, is there anything else that happens here? God, what is that? Okay, so I think I've had enough of this. Super weird. Super weird stuff, but super weird just seems to be the norm for this year, so why not talk about it? Hey, but don't worry, because Reuters is here to tell you that there's nothing to be... that's not predictive. False claim. This is from May of 2020. False claim. London Olympic Games ceremony symbolically predicted the COVID-19 pandemic. A Facebook post falsely claims that the opening ceremony of the London 2012 Olympic Games contained a symbolic ritual predicting the coronavirus pandemic. Photos of the ceremony showing nurses dancing around hospital beds and a death-like figure looming above have been shared with the suggestion that they foreshadow the COVID-19 crisis. The caption accompanying the photos questions, quote, the very strange tribute that was paid to the NHS, which saw doctors, nurses, and surgeons all gallivanting and dancing around empty hospital beds and beds. It was all overseen by a Grim Reaper-looking character. Empty hospital beds, dancing nurses, doctors, surgeons, and death. All this sounds terribly familiar, don't you think? The performance has no real link to the coronavirus. Oh! Woo! That was... It felt weird. It felt weird at first to have that really bizarre thing at the Olympic game. Why would... It doesn't matter. I don't have to think about it anymore. Not only was the ceremony planned 8 years before the pandemic, the themes questioned by the post can be logically explained. Well, let's go into it, shall we? The opening show was designed by Oscar-winning film director Danny Boyle as an ode to British history and culture. In the second of the three acts, Boyle paid homage to the NHS, a much-loved national institution by many Britons, because they don't know what good healthcare is. The sequence, which can be seen, blah, 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 later on... So just because there's this snippet of really weird, kind of difficult to explain stuff that does seem a little bit off, don't worry, it's only a snippet, so it's basically just, it's being taken out of context or whatever. Just want to check one thing here. So, Reuters tells us there's nothing to worry about. It's just a conspiracy. Don't be a conspiracy theorist. But... just for fun, if you'll humor me, just for fun. I don't know if you're aware of this, but in Wuhan, the epicenter of the outbreak, there was a military Olympic, it was a military games, not Olympic games, a military games, but it was done in such a scale that it was almost like an Olympics. Thousands of soldiers there from all around the world, I think 160 different countries provided military personnel to take place in this games. Let's look at that one for a second, shall we? This is fun. This is fun. I hope that this is fun for people. And we're gonna go to the soldiers coming in. Here's the CCP coming in to the front of the congregation of people there assembled on the field, and that is the military games flag that they are also carrying there. So the military games flag. So the military is now carrying forward the CCP, and the military is walking in lockstep in front of the crowd. Well, there's definitely, they're just showing their precision. It's precision that they want to highlight here, and it's pretty cool. That's a fun video. Why am I showing that? Well, later on in those games, we have this. So, I'm sorry, I just find this so bizarre. So some stuff did happen, obviously, in Wuhan. Supposedly at some wet market, somebody ate bad soup, and now we have the world under total lockdown for the last 9 months or so, and we're forcing not mandatory vaccines on people. Okay. Alrighty. Well, there is some stuff, and I do have some more stuff that maybe I should just do like a whole. I will do some pre-produced stuff so that I can be a little more concise again, which is always my issue. And I am just kind of rambling off the top of my head here. So let me just go to this other video. And we're going to go to... So this is also from those military games. Oh. Darn you, YouTube! Well, it is free. So, yeah, this is the this is good. Wait, is it 22 minutes? No, it's right down here. Okay, so what do we see here? This is the closing ceremony for that same military games in Wuhan, China. Here we have the Bird of Peace. I don't know if you're familiar with the Bird of Peace. The Bird of Peace is a porcelain statue of mute swans gifted by Richard Nixon to the People's Republic of China during his 1972 diplomatic visit to the country. The statue was designed and crafted by Hellenbull. So, this is the Bird of Peace. The Bird of Peace is basically a gift between the United States and China. And if you've been following me since the beginning of this podcast, you might have heard me say something like, "Hey, it seems like money sure did help to build the CCP in China." And isn't it funny now that we have all this funny stuff coming out of China at the behest of the CCP, who everybody fawns over and says, aren't they wonderful? They're just so good at controlling their people, and isn't communism, at least CCP-style communism, better? Oh no! What's going on with this Bird of Peace? He's kind of flying. I mean, he kind of looks like a shark, doesn't he? I'm not sure that is a Bird of Peace, but I'm sure he's a bird, so hang on here. Now he's realizing that he's in between these two columns. And he's afraid because there seems to be these kind of rockets or something coming out of these two sides. And what we really don't want is two sides fighting with nuclear weapons. That was actually one of the things that they talked about at the beginning of the UN. It was designed to help foster world peace. And so now this bird's going to be taken into this kind of vortex of time here. Is this fun? Does anyone else think this is fun? And then there's a kind of like a bit of turbulence here. And then the Spring of Dreams. Oh, and the bird's getting sucked into the vortex, even though it's kind of turbulent, and there seems to be a lot of... You know, it looks a little bit chaotic there, but it's going through the vortex now. Let's do this. Oh, shoot. So it goes, boom! And what happens after the bird goes into this wonderful kind of transition? The phoenix! There's the phoenix, everyone. The phoenix, the bird becomes the phoenix. And as we know, the phoenix rises from the ashes of the old. And the phoenix is going to turn back into the bird, and he's going to basically fly through greener pastures, shall we say. So he's going to the future, and there's fish swimming in the ocean. And look at all that clean, beautiful water, and it's so majestic. Isn't it wonderful? And he's got some friends there, and now they're flying through the green trees and the grassy plains. Okay, so look, that's fun. Come on, you have to admit that's fun. I hope that you're enjoying this. Let's do some more stuff. Now, this is the same. This was actually, I'm going to jump back. That was at the end of the ceremony. So basically, it started out with the lockstep, and I'm going to go back now to the beginning. To a different part, which I thought was just fascinating. And you tell me what you think. Hopefully, you also think this is fascinating. This is the kind of stuff, look, I'm trying with all my might to stay away from conspiracies, and you could make the argument that, let me just get rid of this ad. You could make the argument that the people that are doing what they're doing, they see this in a kind of symbolic way. They're kind of crunchy granola greenies too. And they want what's best for the earth, and the people on the left, at least the extreme left, they are like people like Extinction Rebellion. They are telling you that this is for our own good, and if we don't do it, we're all going to die. everything that's going on. You know, cutting back on commercialism and conspicuous consumption and all the things that kind of also coincide with Agenda 2030, which Naomi Klein says is in no way related to the Great Reset. But it totally is. But it's not. I mean, it's happening concurrently, but it's not. No, it's not. And this didn't happen either. So here's some more fun stuff for you. Let's just amp up the speed a little bit. Let's do it a little bit. So here we are, promoting connectivity and embracing diversity. Wait. I'm telling you, folks, it's just a tool to control you, because there ain't a lot of diversity in China. But in the Wuhan Games, they're telling you, isn't it wonderful? Okay. So here's a guy playing a lone piano. And what do we have here? A soldier who seems to be somewhat lost in the wilderness. And he's just kind of like walking out. He's like, what's the future gonna hold? I don't know. It's all so unclear, but I need to find the way out of the darkness. What is this? This new light, this new thing I see in front of me. It looks so fantastic and wonderful, and it's like utopia. How do I get there? Huh. How are we going to get to the utopia? Let me go down here. This singular CCP soldier, and he's going to go down, and what's he going to find there in the grounds? I think it's going to be the light to guide us to the hope that is the new and improved future, which also just happens to do with the CCP. Look at that. Isn't the CCP awesome? I know this is in Wuhan, and it's in China, and this is really cool. I think we can speed this up here a little bit now. Let's go to maximum speed. And here is the soldiers, the UN soldiers. Those are UN soldiers, although they all appear to be at least Asian. That says UN on the side of their helmets. This is the UN army that is going to go along with the soldier to help bring in the bright new future, as you'll remember the Phoenix comes out of. So look at that. This is amazing precision. Look at all those soldiers out there, UN soldiers, and what are they going to do? They're going to help this soldier usher in the future. So here we have more symbolism for communism in general. And just wait for it, because it gets really interesting here. Does anybody else find this stuff cool? I think it's cool. I think it's cool. So this is what they're telling their people in China, of course. And UN, look at that. UN and China. UN and communism. 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 Is anybody getting this yet? No? Okay. Okay, peace. Peace, United Nations. Peace, United Nations. And let's wait for a little more communism, peace, symbolism, CCP. And here comes the peace through soldiers, peace through force. Really, it's, I'm pretty sure there was another guy. I'm not sure what his name was. Thanos? Thanos. He had an idea kind of like this. Peace through force. Now, there's a difference between peace through force and peace through strength, but that's a philosophical debate, and I'm trying to keep people's attention here. So this is fantastic. Look at this wonderful precision game. Well, it is a military game, so it makes perfect sense that they would do that. But now I want to show you a video that blew my freaking mind when I saw it yesterday. And maybe I'm just a simpleton. Maybe that's it. I suppose it's entirely possible. I'm not counting it out. It cannot be discounted. I'm just a fool. But, oh. Yeah, let's do this. Okay, so this I saw yesterday, and I was like, shout out to my friend Pia Anna who posted this. And I had not seen this one. I'm going to be perfectly honest. But man, is it cool. Oh, be so excited. Everybody loves celebrities. Yay! Yay! All right, let's make sure we get a little volume on this.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on this very stage, special guest star, Quavo.
Okay, never mind that. Those people are boring. I was going to skip that. See, this is why I should edit stuff before I put it up. But doing it live is so much more. We'll do it live! This is more fun. definitely caters itself to me and my personality. So, in the world of Illuminati and Hollywood and all that kind of stuff, people constantly point back to figures like Lady Gaga and Madonna. Of course, Lady Gaga famously is the progeny of Madonna. I believe there was some kissing scene or something. All this kind of stuff that people just love. They just eat it up. It's just wonderful, isn't it? What happened to music? Can we go back to that? Okay, this is gonna get... You know what? I don't want to be in trouble for... So look, there's Madonna. Isn't she wonderful with her one eye covered up? Because she's Madam X or Lady X or whatever the heck she is. And now she's gonna sing this. I really don't want to get hit with a copyright strike here. I'm not sure what the rules are with this stuff. So, hopefully this... maybe I'll just leave it really quiet. If you copyright strike me for this, you're a jerk. Can I just say that? Because this is so quiet, it's obviously just background noise. So, here's Madonna. You know what? Screw it. We don't need the sound until a certain part, which is just awesome. So let's just do the thing with Madonna. We'll speed her up here. So now she's going to sing Like a Prayer. Which, by the way, if you go back and listen to the lyrics now, sure sound like they're not appealing to God at all. They seem like they're appealing to somebody to take the place of God. And here we go. Everybody's going down the steps. It's really fun. It's actually a nice mix of this song. I will admit it's catchy. So here she is, and she's got all of her Illuminati garb on there, and the one eye, of course, the all-seeing eye. You know, you see all those things of celebrities where they're like covering one eye, or they're doing all this stuff, and everybody's like, "Look, Illuminati!" And I don't know, is it true? Maybe if there was something like Illuminati, and I was one of them, I would definitely put it out there in the pop culture just to make it seem like anybody who talked about me or what I was up to would sound like a crazy person. But here comes the columns, and the columns are gonna go up these stairs here. Madonna's just rocking out, and we're gonna go back in just a second. This is about to get really interesting. And Madonna is now falling. And we're going to have to hear this part because it's too... Again, shout out to Piana. I'm trying to be a sane person in these insane times. And can I just say that this is nuts. This is nuts. And this is from May of 2019. Whoa, look at those dancers. That's quite the garb they have on there. Look at that. Those are funny looking hats, aren't they? Look at these guys with these funny hats on. What could that possibly be? Whoa, well, she seems to be a warrior princess now of some sort.
They are so naive. They think we are not aware of their crimes. We know. But we are just not ready to act.
Okay. I'm not familiar with this song or this album or where this comes from, but it sure is fun and cute, isn't it? We're just not ready to act. They're guilty. They don't know it. Who's constantly getting the brunt end of the guilt these days? Well, free humanity, right? Free humanity is obviously the biggest problem that we need to solve. That's what Agenda 2030 is all about. But it's really benevolent.
The storm isn't in the air.
Who are those crazy dudes?
It's inside of us.
And she goes right for the uterus. Look at that. Go with the uterus. The storm's in the uterus.
And loneliness.
Is it just me or is she killing all those people? Okay, so I was talking about before Hollywood, and there's some pretty weird artsy people out there, obviously. Who came up with this? Can somebody find me the guy that actually wrote this little screenplay? Because this is fantastic stuff. I mean, wow. It's fun, isn't it? So enlightening. Think about what we just saw out of the CCP in Wuhan in those games where it's like, oh, pro-China and isn't it wonderful, and the army's going to save us all and make us into a phoenix coming out of the ashes. But here's what we get in the Western world.
But it's getting late now. Can't you hear outside of your supreme hoodie the wind that's beginning to howl?
Oh, she's up. Now, please take note of the fact that we have black and white, and they're all wearing the cute little hats, and she's now blowing them all down after telling you that you're too stupid to know what's going on. Like, trying not to get into this stuff, but man, this is something else, isn't it? Is this blowing your mind right now? This blew my mind. Everyone's coming to the future. Not everyone is learning from the past. Not everyone that's here is going to last. I actually kind of dig this tune. Oh, so there seems to be taking inspiration. Okay. Now I'm getting kind of worried about the copyright strike again. So this is fun. Totally innocent, obviously. And she's doing a little dance with her little hatted friends there. Okay, they're wearing masks. Okay, they're wearing masks. Oh, it's not an actual doctor's mask. That's some sort of crazy gas mask. It's not the same thing. Thank you, Reuters. Thank you for telling me there's nothing to be concerned about. I must be nuts for thinking this is a little bit off the wall. And it was over a year ago, so pre-pandemic, as you might know. So basically then everything burns. And let's get to this part here. Tell the sun not to shine because you said so. Okay. So these guys are going to space, right? Look at that. They are going to space, not unlike Elon Musk in the video that I started the show with today, the opener, and my little stinger that I threw together. But see these black and white people here. What are they doing? They're just walking up to the top in between those two columns there, and oh, there they go. There they go. Right off the edge. Not everyone's coming to the future. Not everyone's learning from the past. And we're just gonna, all you people, just gonna, all you black and white. Oh, there they go. And oh, there we go. There's a nice image. Let's leave that image up for a little bit. Okay. So, am I nuts? I suppose. This was not a very technical broadcast. This is basically, like I said, just trying to have a little fun. This is Blindspot Corner. I can't even say it right. Episode number 2. And I'm over an hour now, so I hope that you found this at least entertaining. That's what I'm really shooting for today, because I want to try to mix entertainment and some kind of just analysis, perspective. I will say one thing. I'm going to add this one video here. Nod to Anomaly. Oh, yeah, this is the... Sorry, that's the wrong one. Give me 1 second. That's where I actually got the intro from. The Axel Springer Award. Great. I don't know where I put it. Oh well. See, I was not organized enough. Oh no, this is it. Okay, sorry. Forgive me. Bear with me. Yeah, in China, by the way, there was just an ad there for the Epoch Times. They do have some very questionable organ harvesting practices there. So, you know, China's wonderful and it's great and our leaders love it, but it's also pretty good for the rich people there and not so good for the very poor people there. Sounds familiar to other socialist style historical examples. So, yeah, let's just do this. This is Elon Musk talking about mRNA.
The medical front, particularly around synthetic mRNA. You can basically do anything with synthetic RNA, DNA. It's like a computer program. So, I mean, I think with enough, with
Let me be clear that I actually think that Elon Musk is a great gift to humanity. He obviously has his head aimed in the right direction in a lot of ways, but he also believes in the holographic universe, which, I mean, hey, how do you discount it? His reasoning is unbelievable. And if you haven't heard it, type in Elon Musk holographic universe and listen to the conversation he had with his brother in the hot tub. That's fun stuff. But he sees the world as something that can be manipulated with science and technology, and he's not just saying stuff like that. He's got his Neuralink company where he's literally trying to connect the left and right hemispheres of the brain because he thinks that it will help people improve their processing speed. So he thinks that this stuff can all be manipulated. I've never heard him say it, but I'm pretty sure he's an atheist. And when you're that smart and you see everything as zeros and ones, I suppose it just makes perfect sense to kind of think about things in this way, that if you can do it, you should do it. And me, for my part, that's where the hubris comes in. I think that we're spiritual beings living in a physical reality. And the spiritual part is what's getting messed up right now. So what is Elon Musk saying about mRNA? And I did go into this a little bit in my podcast on Tuesday. So feel free to go back and check that out.
Effort that's not too crazy. You could probably stop aging, reverse it if you want. These are, you can basically do it. You can turn someone into a freaking butterfly if you want with the right DNA sequence. So, I mean, caterpillars do it.
It's interesting. So you can turn someone into a butterfly. Caterpillars do it. So that's what he thinks about biology. Yeah. So I hope that was at least a little bit entertaining for today's podcast. I'm going to do another one. I really wanted to do one yesterday, to be perfectly honest, but I ran out of time. And there's so much to absorb and so much to kind of pick up on. But that's what we're here for, right? We try to have a little bit of fun and try to understand a little bit more about the world. And I'm just trying to bring you some of that esoteric knowledge today, because it's fun sometimes. And that's it. I hope you all are healthy and safe and thinking for yourselves. I'm not trying to tell you what to think. I'm just trying to say, hey, let's think, let's talk, let's get together. It is our planet, okay? The planet belongs to free people, and we seem to be going away from that idea. But with great power comes great responsibility, and that means that people do and should be trying to be the best versions of themselves. We can have a little fun along the way, but we should try to be the best versions of ourselves